Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is Monday and we are taking the day off from school. We've been taking Mondays off lately, using the free day to catch up on chores, grocery shopping, and meal prep. We recently purchased my son this really cool Lego app. He's able to snap a picture of this mess and it identifies his Legos and gives him several building options with instructions. It's pretty amazing. However, my living room has looked like this since we purchased it. I don't have a ton on my list as far as meal prep today. I plan on making enchiladas for dinner tonight, so I thought since I'm making some for now, I might as well make some for later. You're going to need chicken for this recipe. You can use rotisserie, or maybe you have leftovers. Even if you have chicken breast or thighs, it just needs to be cooked and either chopped or shredded. We're going to be making a homemade sour cream enchilada sauce for these. I'm doubling the recipe. As always, a full list of ingredients and measurements are in the description box below. Doubling this recipe will make me enough for 2 rather large pans of enchiladas. If you're feeding a smaller crowd, cut the recipe in half or keep it as it is and make 2 small pans, one being for the freezer. As you can see, we're starting off with melted butter. Once the butter is melted, add in some flour. Be sure to give that flour time to really mix in and let it cook for a bit. I heard somewhere that if you don't do that, your sauce will end up tasting like raw flour. Once your butter and flour mixture are good and hot, slowly pour in the chicken broth. Whisk or stir that around till it begins to bubble and thicken up. This is where I would add in a small can of green chilies. I haven't seen those here in Botswana. We like spice, so I'm going to chop up a few of these habaneros. I've used chopped pickled jalapenos as well. Mix in your peppers and let that cook a bit longer, about 5 more minutes. Once it's nice and thick, pop on the lid and turn off the heat. Leave that to cool for a bit while you gather the rest of your ingredients and prepare your workspace to start assembling. I'm going to be using my homemade tortillas from the freezer. If you're interested in that recipe, I'll link it below. Store-bought work fine too. Once your enchilada sauce has cooled a bit, it's time to slowly add in the sour cream. You don't want to add this if your sauce is still bubbling. The cream may curdle. As a matter of fact, taking the cream from the fridge when you're melting the butter for the sauce is a good idea. I'll be sure to note that below. Now that we have all our ingredients, it's time to start assembling. Start by ladling half the sauce on the bottom of your pan or pans. Then you're going to fill the tortillas with chicken. If your chicken is bland, you could season it with some taco seasoning or garlic, salt, and pepper, whatever you have. You could also mix in some shredded cheese here. I have a kid that doesn't like cheese, so I'll be filling mine with just chicken. He'll pick the cheese from the top of his at dinner tonight. You could also sneak in some veggies. Frozen chopped spinach is really good in these. Once you've got these assembled, ladle on the rest of the sauce and top with cheese. I'd be topping the one for the freezer as well, but I've run out of cheese. I'll leave full from freezer to oven instructions in the description box below. For now, I'm going to cover the one for tonight with plastic wrap. The one for the freezer gets covered in foil. We're probably going to be eating this one within the next 2 weeks. If it were hanging out in my freezer for any more than that, I'd probably wrap it in plastic as well, but I don't have the freezer space to keep huge amounts of stuff. I pretty much work on a 2-week rotation and reserve the space for staples like tortillas, naan, different types of doughs, and even snacks. This couldn't be any easier when it comes time to bake. Just pop it in the oven at 350 for 30 to 45 minutes till it's heated through and the cheese is golden brown. I love to serve this with a simple salad, guacamole, as well as beans and rice, which brings me to this next recipe. I'll be sharing sugar beans from the Crockpot. These beans are such a delicious, budget-friendly side dish or meal. To your Crockpot, add 1 smoked ham hock, your beans. These are called sugar beans, but they looked like pinto beans to me, and that's what I used in the States. You can use any kind of beans you want. I'm also throwing in some minced garlic and green chilies, and a combination of sweet and red onions that I have left over from another recipe. I can't give you exact measurements here. I'll give you a guesstimate in the description box below. Fill the crock pot with water till the beans are just covered. I'm starting these a little later than I wanted, so I'm using boiling water from my kettle to get these going. These are going to cook on low all day for 6 to 8 hours. Keep an eye on that water line, adding more water to keep the beans covered. I make these a lot and I notice that I have to add more water after about 30 minutes and then usually once more about an hour after that. Just check on them periodically. Here we are about 6 hours later. As you can see, that ham hock has cooked down, all the meat has completely separated from the bone. This is where I lower the temp and remove the bones and skin. I'm going to use my tongs to break up all the meat. It should be very tender at this point and shred easily. Once it's cooled down a bit, I'm going to start seasoning. I'm using garlic, cumin, smoked paprika, salt, and pepper. Just use whatever you have, whatever you like. When we were in the States, I would add in a bit of ranch powder. You could definitely freeze the leftovers. This freezes really well. I usually don't. My kids love this so much. I'm gonna be serving this for lunches this week. It goes great with grilled cheese sandwiches or over rice or pasta. Even bean burritos are great too. All right, that's all I've got for y'all today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, tap on that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Till next time.